All right, this is called the distributive property, and I like to joke around and call them Ross arrows because I've always wanted something to be named after myself with mathematics. So I call these Ross arrows, and they're absolutely not. It really is distributive property. But this is an example of distributive property where you have a 3 outside the brackets and x plus 2. What we have here is 3 multiplied by x times 2. And we can do this. It doesn't look like something that we can do, but we can. What we do is we multiply this 3 into both things inside the bracket. And if there were 3 terms inside the bracket, we'd multiply it by all 3. But you take this, whatever's outside, and you multiply it inside the brackets. So in this case, we have 3 times x, and just think of it as 1x just sitting there, and we multiply it 3 times. And if we have 1x before, we multiply it by 3, that will simply give us 3x. Now, if we take the 3 and multiply it by positive 2, we will get positive 6. And that's all there is to this question. When we're just learning how to do distributive property, you take the number outside the brackets and you multiply it by everything inside the brackets. So I'll do another one, and I'll change the variable up, t minus 8. And again, you draw the arrows in, and the arrows indicate multiplication. They indicate multiplication to both terms. So now think of it, you got a t, and what is 4 times t? It is simply 4t. And what is 4 times negative 8? Again, go with the sign in front of the term that you're looking at. And 4 times negative 8 is negative 32. And that's all we're going to do with these types of questions for the moment. Of course, the grade 8s are going to expand upon this, and even grade 7s, this is stretching it a bit for you, but I'd like you to take a shot at it because it's really not hard, and it's just going to make you smarter for next year. So, I'll give you a couple more examples, put them in another color just to mess it up a little bit. This time I'll put a number in front of my variable, make that k. And I'll do one more over here, maybe 10. Maybe I'll put the number here first. Here we go. Just want to make it a little different each time. And remember, what is our first step when we're doing distributive property? Remember that it could be called Ross arrows, and that tells you to put arrows to each term, and each term means multiplication. So you had 2k and you multiply it by 4, that'll be 8k. And you had 4 times 20, and that's 80. There's your answer. Lastly, here's our last one. So 10 times 8 is 80, because remember, each of these arrows is multiplication. And 10 times positive 3f is 30f. Now I'm going to show you how you can take this and put it into solve an equation. And it makes it look fantastic. It makes you look incredibly brilliant, and of course you are, but actually once you know the steps, it makes it fairly simple. So I'll pause it, I'll put a new question on the top, and I'll show you how to use distributive property while solving an equation. So here's our question. Now the only difference is we have an equals 24, which means we are going to solve it. So what we're going to do here before we can do anything is we actually have to do, whoops, that did not work out. We have to do the distributive property to get this done. So that'll be 2m, and that'll be 6 equals 24. And now once we see that, that looks like a question that we've already done. We did these last week, and everyone celebrated and had so much success with it. Remember, when you have a two-step algebra problem, we have to get rid of the addition or subtraction first. So in this case, it'll be 2m plus 6 minus 6, because if you remember, and I hope you remember, in order to get rid of one thing, you do the opposite operation to it, and this was plus 6, so you subtract 6. But remember, we do the opposite operation to both sides. So what we would have left here is 2m equals 18. Now if you're looking at that, you see, okay, I've got 2 times m, and that's multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is going to be division. So you can divide both sides there by 2. M is going to equal to 9. So it looks like we're done here, but we're not, because as we know, we have to check. So if I move this over My check is my left side, right side. And you got to go back to the original question. So in the original question, this was 2 bracket m plus 3. And this was 24. Remember from last week what we do is we substitute our answer for the variable. So this will be 2 bracket, there's actually 2 brackets here, because that bracket around the 9 indicates that a substitution has been made. You have to do inside the brackets first, so that'll be 2 times 12, and that'll equal 24. That side is 24. Left side is equals to right side, and we are done. I'm going to do another one for you. So here we are, here's our second one, and when we're looking at it, we say, okay, that looks a little different again. All I've done is I've put the stuff over on the right-hand side, and it's no big deal. We start with our distributive property, our Ross arrows. Remember that each of those arrows is indicating a multiplication into the brackets. We write our question without change in the order. So 5 times m is 5m, and 5 times 3 is 15. Once we're at this step, this is the questions from last week that we were all feeling so good and confident about, except maybe the fact that the m or the 5m is on the right-hand side, except being on the left-hand side that it usually is. But remember, it doesn't matter. I could say I am Sam or Sam I am. Where I put the word Sam doesn't matter, it's the same sentence. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the 15 first, and we're going to leave our variables over on the right-hand side. So whenever I have work to do on the right-hand side first, I leave the left alone and I just start right over here. 5m plus 15 minus 15. Because remember, we're going to do the opposite operation to both sides. So if I subtract 15 there, I'm going to subtract 15 there. They'll cross out. When I collect my terms here, 50 minus 15 is 35 equals 5m. Always remembering our goal is to isolate for the variable, so I have to get that m by itself. In order to get the m by itself, I have to divide both sides by 5. They'll cross out. M is equal to 7, or 7 equals m. Same thing. Again, I can't leave it. I have to do my check. I do left side, right side. The left side was 50. The right side was 5, m plus 3. I substitute wherever I see that m. I still have to do inside the brackets, so that's 10. That equals 50. That equals 50. My left side equals my right side. So I am done and ready to go to the next question. Now, there is only one more step, and that's when we have variables on both sides. So I just have a couple more to show you, and congratulate yourselves. You're doing so well, and you did so well in class today. And here's the last little one.